Hey guys, today's video tutorial is about World War I. It was also known as the Great War, and it lasted between the years 1914 to 1918. So let's get started. First of all, your learning target for today is I can summarize how the alliance system in Europe helped cause World War I. So the one thing I really want you to focus in today is I want you to be able to summarize what this alliance system is in Europe. And it's one of the causes of why World War I happened. There are other causes, but the one we're going to concentrate on today is the alliance system. First of all, the causes of World War I, Europe was seen as a powder keg, and it only needed a spark to set the whole thing off due to some main causes. And we're going to look at 4 of them, but once again, the main one is this whole alliance system. But first is imperialism. Countries were competing for land in Africa, Asia, etc., and Germany wanted to keep up. And we just got finished looking at imperialism. And remember I showed you a map of Africa. It's called the Scramble for Africa. All these European countries are carving up Africa as if it's their own. And the countries that you see in the yellow are German possessions. And they feel a lot of pressure on them to keep up with Great Britain and France and this whole imperialist game. Okay? So first cause imperialism. Second cause nationalism. People in Europe loved their nation and were very protective, loyal, and proud. Some ethnic groups, however, wanted their own country rather than to be ruled by others. But I put this image in here of all these countries. Somebody's holding the flag of their country. I'm proud to be British. I'm proud to be an Italian. I'm proud to be French. These people really start identifying with their country. And we see it in our own country. I'm proud to be an American. There's something about this, what's called nationalism, where you really feel this connection with your country, even for some people, even more than their family. They're an American first, by George. Okay? So nationalism is another cause of the World War I. Militarism. Many countries believed that they needed a very strong military, building up their army and navy forces. So all these imperial powers, feeling all this nationalist sentiment, are also building up their military like crazy. Ships, tanks, guns, ammunition, you name it, they're stockpiling it. If you just sort of use your common sense, probably you're going to end up using it. Why else are you making all this stuff? And then once again, today, the one thing we want to concentrate on is alliances. Different countries form secret treaties with another country to help protect in case another country attacked. Okay? And I'm going to use the example of Pickaway Ross Career and Technology Center to explain this alliance system. So let's go inside the school. Inside the school, I want you to pretend that there is a lot of violence going on in Pickaway Ross. There are fist fights everywhere you go. Students cannot turn their back for 1 second without some sort of fight happening in the cafeteria, in the girls' bathroom, in the guys' bathroom, outside the school, outside in the parking lot before school, in the hallways, in the media center, in the classrooms, outside of school, after school, by the bathrooms. There is constant, in the locker room. There are constant fights going on at Pickaway Ross. Students are terrified to come to school. There's violence is dripping from the place. So guess what happens at this Pickaway Ross? Students decide to form alliances. A group of students form what they call the Yellow Student Alliance, and then another group formed an alliance called the Blue Student Alliance. And if you join one of these alliances, you're sort of making an agreement that, hey, if somebody screws with you, if somebody tries to fight with you, I got your back. The students in the Blue Alliance, same thing. Listen, be a part of this alliance. If somebody screws with me, you'll come to my defense, right? I'll come to your defense. And it sort of can make things go a little bit more peaceful because people tend to not start anything, because if you start a little something with Susie from the nursing program, you know that a bunch of other students from other programs in their alliance are going to attack you. So people sort of stay away from each other. So at Pickaway Ross, you got the Blue Alliance and you got the Yellow Alliance. In the Blue Alliance, all the law enforcement students joined it, and the machining students, and the computer students, and the nursing students. In the Yellow Alliance, you got the welding lab. All the students are part of the Yellow Alliance. And the auto mechanics program, Yellow Alliance. Carpentry, Yellow Alliance. Early childhood education, Yellow Alliance. So once again, don't miss the point here. If you're part of the Blue Alliance and somebody from the Yellow Alliance picks on you, then you know that everybody else who's a part of your alliance is going to come to your defense. So if the early childhood education student screws with the nursing student, guess what? The law enforcement student says, you better put the baby down, because that law enforcement student is bound and determined to protect her. Same thing here, that if the law enforcement student comes to her defense, welding's going, what? You better back up. The computer geeks are going, you better watch it, fellers. Auto mechanics going, you better watch what? You better watch your mouth. Machining, they're doing flips, and they'll come to the defense of somebody in their alliance. So there's two big alliances, the Blue Alliance and the Yellow Alliance, and it sort of makes peace. But let's sort of see how this can unravel real quick. We have a Yellow Alliance student going to the drinking fountain, and a Blue Alliance student comes and accidentally bumps into them, and it starts a fight. I mean, it is bloody. It is bloody. But once again, because of the alliance, if you screw with somebody in the alliance, guess what's going to happen? They're going to come to the yellow student's defense. And then the blue one says, nuh-uh, you better not. And the yellow says, oh, yeah. And the blue one says, come on. And another blue one says, bring it. Then the yellow student says, you better back up, Chief. And before you know it, all the different students from the alliances are in a big old brawl in the middle of this school. So instead of just being an incident at the drinking fountain and a little fight, because of this alliance system, it draws the entire school in there. And there's like mayhem out in the cafeteria. It's like a brawl. They're going to have to close down school because it basically erupts into a war. Okay? So the alliance system sounds good. It can keep the peace, but man, like dominoes, if one thing goes wrong, everybody starts getting involved and it becomes mob rule. And that's what's happening in Europe at the time that we're discussing of this World War I. Europe has been divided into two armed camps. One called the Allied Powers, who have Great Britain in it, and then their good friends, France. Then also part of that alliance is Russia. They're all, like, just call them the Blue Alliance if you want. They're called the Allies. But there's also another alliance, the Central Powers, or the Yellow Alliance, with Germany and Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. These two are like, lined up against each other. And if one little thing goes wrong, boom, everything's going to explode. And that's exactly what happens during World War I. Here's the alliances on a map of Europe to sort of look at it a different way. You see the Central Powers all in purple here, and you can kind of see why they call them Central Powers, because they're in the center of Europe. Germany, Austria-Hungary, forget Bulgaria for now, and then the Ottoman Empire. And then the Allies are Great Britain, remember that's Ireland up here, France, and Russia are all lined up. One thing you might notice here is the bad position that Germany's in, and it's going to come out, it's going to haunt them during World War I and haunt them again with Hitler in World War II. If they start a war with France and Russia as a part of their alliance, that Germany's going to quickly have a two-front war. They're going to have to fight the French on this side and fight the Russians on this side. Unlike the French, who can just keep the Germans out in front of them. They don't have to worry about their back too much. Um, so once again, what is an alliance? An alliance is an agreement between one or more states or countries to work together. Alliances usually involve making promises to protect the other country against nations who are not in the alliance. And then finally, these promises are usually made by the signing of treaties. Okay? So we got these two alliances, the Allies and the Central Powers, and this is going to be the spark that sort of sets off the dominoes. Austria-Hungary has a lot of influence down in these countries down here called the Balkans, and the guy who is going to take over as the ruler of Austria-Hungary is visiting this town of Sarajevo in Bosnia, and a guy from Serbia comes in there and assassinates him. Well, Austria-Hungary, as you might imagine, somebody from the royal family gets assassinated. They come in and they sort of want to find out. Where's my thing? There it is. They want to come into Serbia and pretty much take over the place to do an investigation to get to the bottom of this. Of course, Serbia doesn't want a foreign power coming in their country. They'll handle it themselves. And here's the problem. Russia is really tight with Serbia. So once Austria-Hungary, they're going to eventually go into invade Serbia, then Russia's going to come to their defense. Well, if you remember, Austria-Hungary is also part of the alliance with Germany. So once Russia comes into it, Germany goes, hey, hold on a second. You don't mess with my boy Austria-Hungary. Let's keep looking at this. You can sort of see how this works. Yeah, Serbian nationalism to the south of Austria-Hungary's border created a threat for Austria-Hungary. So once again, we got Germany sort of got enemies to the left and enemies to the right. But here's what they do. Germany risks having to fight the Allied powers on both the Eastern and the Western front. So they have a plan. And this plan is called the Schlieffen Plan. I don't know the names of hardly any military plans, but I know this one, that's how popular it is, the Schlieffen Plan. It called for a surprise occupation of neutral Belgium and then a lightning attack and defeat of France through Belgium. And what they're really trying to do is knock France out of the war before they have to deal with Russia. So it's got to be quick. Let me show you a different way of looking at it here. Germany and France had been in a war back in 1870, and so France is already paranoid about Germany, so they have built up all these forts right along the German border. Here's France. Along the German border, so the Schlieffen Plan called for, let's just go around those. We'll have to go through these countries who didn't do anything against us, but who cares? They're just little countries. Belgium, Luxembourg, please, shut up. And they're going to come sort of around the right here and sort of go behind where most of their fortifications are and hopefully occupy Paris and make it a knockout blow. Well, that's the Schlieffen Plan. Here's the problem. The Germans' intended lightning attack of France did not succeed. Instead, their advances were slowed drastically by stiff Allied resistance. Because remember, Great Britain is a part of the Allies. They're in that alliance, so they come to the defense of France. Long lines of trenches dug from Belgium to the Swiss border ensured both sides got stuck in a fruitless yet bloody trench warfare, a stalemate. So you see these red triangles here. That's as far as Germany got. And then France and Great Britain pushes them back. And for 4 years, they fought along these trenches right here, these dugout trenches, fighting back and forth over 100 yards of land for 4 years until 9 million are dead. Absolutely senseless. In just a second, here's another picture of the trenches going across it, all the way across Europe, all the way across France, going into Switzerland right here. I am going to have you watch a video as soon as I'm done speaking here, and it's from a movie based on the novel All Quiet on the Western Front. And the little video clip that you're going to watch really shows how stupid this trench warfare is. But remember, what got it sparked to begin with was this alliance system. You picked on my guy, now I have to get in because I'm part of your alliance. Okay? Yeah, I'm out.